Hello, friends, and welcome to Binge O'Clock, the podcast where we watch something and then we talk about it. I'm Joy Selden. I've seen almost everything.
I'm Danielle, and I've seen almost nothing.
And we're here today to talk about one of my favorite cartoons from when I was growing up, which I don't know what that says about me, really.
I mean, probably just that you, I don't know, were a child born in a pretty specific era. This is a very kid-friendly movie. Like it's fun, there are bright colors, it's exciting, I don't think there's a single moment you could describe as slow, you know? And it's
Absolutely not
super scary either, though I know that was less important to you as a kid than it was to me.
I think it's esoterically scary, which you don't, like as a child, you're not going to be scared by depression and like the abstract thought of giving up. You know what I mean? As a 3-year-old, you're not going to be like, existential quandaries, you know. Like,
right. Yep. No, that's fair. It would be
that's
more
not
like,
how that works.
Is there a giant scary whale or is there not a giant scary whale? No giant scary whale?
No giant scary whale? Well, great. Perfect. Awesome. All the things. But yes, we're here today to talk about Rainbow Brite, which we're not going to do a play-by-play. If you feel so inclined to watch the movie, please feel free. I think it was available on YouTube and in Amazon Prime somewhere, but not in any place that I could purchase it.
No. Mm-mm. It was a bit of a toughie to find, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We figured it out.
But that's okay. We managed to find it. Spoilers, friends. We're actually recording this episode like 2-ish weeks after we should have recorded this episode. So even though I have seen this a million times, I'm going to have to remind myself when it actually came out. We're specifically talking about Rainbow Brite and the Star Stealer, which I believe was 1986? 85? Oh, goodness. See, this is why I can't be trusted. Yes, 1985. There we go. I was close.
Yeah, 1985. Okay.
So, you know, it's definitely a what I call a relatively low calorie. You know, you plunk your kids, probably toddlers, in front of this thing, and it, you know, the main hook of the film is, it's so weird to call it a film, but the main hook of the film is that there is a galactic force of nature who is trying to steal a giant diamond planet.
Yes.
That is the source of all light and color and happiness. And therefore happiness, because really what we're really fighting here is seasonal affective disorder. That's really what we're fighting here. Too much winter.
Too much winter, too much gloom, you know. But yes, it is the titular character, Rainbow Brite's job to bring springtime to Earth.
Yep.
But she can't bring springtime to Earth until she defeats the princess. And that's it. You're right. I think that's the crux of the thing.
That's it. And you know, we make friends along the way, and we have our, you know, C and D characters who I think are from the TV series Murky and Lurky, who, bless them, they try.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Have you ever seen the TV series? Do you know anything about it?
You know, I must have watched the TV series at some point. I do know that the movie has stuck with me longer than the TV series has. Wouldn't it be hilarious to watch the TV series now and be like, do I remember this? Did this even happen? What is happening right now? I'm
sure there would be like odd little moments or songs where you would realize like, oh, I remember this thing.
I do know what this is.
I felt the same way about Murky and Lurky. I think they could have just deleted those two characters, and it wouldn't have changed the movie in any way, shape, or form. I honestly don't
like
know,
the Deus Ex Machina at the end
where
they
were
saved
doing
the day?
There. We didn't need them. I kind of wanted the hero to save the day.
That's fair.
But it just, I don't know. As I was watching them, I was like, well, I have to assume that these two are main villain characters in the show. And that's the only reason they're in this movie, right? It's gotta be.
Yeah. As far as I know, that's exactly what that is. I mean, you know, there's Murky and Lurky who just basically get into hijinks. We get to meet, wow, why can't I remember?
Which person are you talking about?
I'm talking about the robotic horse.
Oh, Onyx.
But that is, yes, Onyx. Thank you. That is not the first horse we meet. The first horse we meet is Rainbow Brite's horse.
Yes. Starlight.
Starlight.
Who, by the way, when you said the main hook of the show, I thought that you were going to say the main hook of the show is horses. Because if you are a child who likes horses, then this movie was made for you.
You're not wrong.
Like a horse kid.
It's covered in Horse Girl. It's all Horse Girl all the time. Like, not only does Rainbow Brite have her horse, but the woman of the winter, Stormy. I also love Stormy. I'm pretty sure if I had to choose between the two, I would probably lean closer to Stormy than Rainbow Brite in her unfailing optimism and everything else. And meanwhile, Stormy is just like, I just like rain. What if we just made it rain all the time? Stormy and Sky Dancer.
Sky Dancer. It's a better name, too.
It is a better name. It's a better name. Although that horse is like super weird, aggressive, and does not talk. And I'm like, oh no, I don't trust a horse in an 80s cartoon that doesn't talk. I just don't trust it. I mean,
it's very Becca energy.
Yes. Exactly. Becca is no one's horse.
Exactly. Becca has a human.
Yes. Yes. The Centaur World, for those of you who are like, what are you talking about? Please watch Centaur World.
Oh, everyone watched Centaur World. But Chris also ends up with a horse, which is why I was just like, this movie is just for children who like horses.
Kinda, yeah. It's a lot of that. I think there's just, it's this really strange, like I said, this weird existential dread that is like all over the movie. And it's funny because it's not consistent. You'll have people who just kind of, like, you'll have the only kid on Earth who can see Rainbow Brite. Did you like that exposition that happened super fast? Yeah.
Oh, Brian, how nice to see you. The only boy who can see me.
Only boy who can see me. In case you needed to know who the heck Brian is. Yes, right.
Like,
hello,
yes,
fellow human.
Joy. Fellow, my podcasting host. It is co-host. It is so lovely to see you. Like, that is how I greet my friends.
Obviously. Yeah, Rainbow Brite has some really interesting cadences, I think. She also was voiced by, here's a little piece of trivia for you that I actually didn't know until we were doing this episode. She's voiced by someone named Bettina, who was a pop singer in the 80s. Who has done other voices also. I'm sure people who are super into voice actors probably already know who she is. But she also sang the song at the end of the movie.
Okay. Not the one at the beginning of the movie.
Not the one at the beginning. Yes, not the one at the beginning of the movie. Would you like to talk about, oh my God, what's it even called?
I mean, I don't even know how to talk about the beginning of this movie, because this movie does the thing where it just kind of drops you into the middle of the film.
Yep.
And it doesn't really explain who anyone is.
Nope.
Right? So, there's the leader of the planet that you don't realize is the leader of the planet until maybe 40 minutes into the thing. There's the princess, who I at first thought, Orin, that's the name of the leader of the planet.
Yeah.
There's the princess, who at first, the first half of my notes have her as the queen. Because I was like, I don't really know how to talk about this character, so the queen it is. And
yep.
And you're just kind of forced to figure out the main players and why everyone is motivated to do whatever it is they decide to do in this movie. But I wonder whether part of that is also that if you've seen the TV show, you would know. Right?
Yeah,
if you've seen the TV show, you know.
I think the cold open doesn't work for people who are absolutely unfamiliar with Rainbow Brite on every level, which you were.
Which is me. Which I was. Wildly unfamiliar. And on top of all of that, one of the first things they do in this movie is just launch into a good morning song. There's no other way for me to describe this song. It's song you sing
Brand New Day, yeah.
When it's time to wake up in the morning and get things done. And that is just absolutely my least favorite part of the day. I think that if anyone ever woke me up with this song, they would just, I'm not a violent person, but woo.
Not a violent person unless you sing this song to me in the morning.
In the morning. In the AM.
Please don't. Yeah,
please don't.
It's a lot of song. It's a lot of song. It's very an 80s movie cartoon for children song. Like, of course I have the nostalgia factor that you don't have, right?
Fair.
So like it was always a very cutesy kind of song to me. And it's just funny because like for a show that has almost zero substance, it's a very simple song. And I'm sure they did that on purpose so that kids could sing along with it, right?
Right.
Like, it's a little bit that song that maybe you sing in the car, to distract your kids. I feel like this is a distraction song, right? Because like it doesn't do much other than every day is a brand new day and like good morning.
Also, get up, we have things to do.
Yeah,
I think that there's a line that they say over and over again.
Get
up, we have things to do. Are you kidding?
I'm gonna find it. Wait, I'm gonna find it.
That is that's not what I want to hear first thing in the morning.
I'm trying to find the lyric. Everybody's got a part to play is pretty. But like, I love that it starts with like, wake up flowers. I've been up for hours. There's work to do, which by the way, Starlight just woke up. So that's not even true.
There's work to do.
And then birds start flying. No more Mio Mayan. There's work to do. Yeah, there's work to do.
That's what I'm saying. They say it over and over and over again. And I know that they literally have work to do because they must bring spring. But what about the Mio Mayan?
I know. But the Mio Mayan is so important.
I need a little more Mio Mayan in my morning. I just do. So anyway, all the kids wake up. They're all these fuzzy creatures. They're all in Rainbow Land. Thankfully, I do actually like Starlight as a character. I don't know if we want to start diving into the characters.
Oh, no, we can start diving into the characters.
We probably should start with Rainbow Brite and Starlight.
Yeah. Rainbow Brite is I feel like she was probably one of my first like strong female characters.
Mm-hmm.
She's extremely smart. She's very she has a huge hold on her own convictions. And she knows who she is. She knows what she's doing, and she's going to get her job done. And that's it.
Yep. It's going to be hard not to compare this to Kipo, so I'll try not to do it too many times.
Fair.
But I think that she, Rainbow Brite, is a really strong female character, but she doesn't have that same kind of relentless optimism that Kipo has, where Kipo is constantly in a forgiving mood and constantly going out and helping her friends and et cetera, so on. I think Rainbow Brite actually does a really nice job of ignoring all of the negativity around her and just plowing forward regardless of what other people think about her. And by other people, I specifically mean Chris.
Yeah. Chris, this is one of the other B plots of like, how do you deal with sexism in the workplace, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Because Chris is the worst.
The worst. And listen, let me start by saying that I know that I came into this movie having never seen it before. So I think that if I had seen this movie for the first time as a child, I would probably like it better than I do now. I didn't dislike this movie, but I thought that walking in, because you had kind of set me up for it, Joy, I thought that I would hate Rainbow Brite, not her as a character, but her voice and the way she screams a lot.
She screams a lot in this movie. Y'all, she screams a lot in this movie.
The number of times she says, "Oh no," in a very specific tone did border on perhaps I cannot continue watching this. But it wasn't her that turned me off of the movie. It was Chris.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think if there's a reason I don't see this again, it's because I was really annoyed at him.
Yeah. Every time I watch this movie, I kind of forget a little bit that Chris exists and that he's there to be a foil against Rainbow Brite of like, you know, he's sort of there to be the nagging negativity and like the dragging you down stuff that she ignores, as you so rightly said. Because for the most part, she ignores him. And for the majority of the movie, she doesn't even argue back. She just kind of plows right through.
But it's, to
and
your
eventually
point earlier,
she starts arguing, though.
To your point earlier, though, it's not even that he's like a gloomy, negative character. Like, oh no, we're not going to be able to do it. It's not we're not going to be able to do it. It's specifically you're not going to be able to do it. And by you, he means Rainbow Brite because she's a girl.
Yep.
And he does this over and over and over in the movie.
Constant sexism.
Yeah, where he's like, oh, I'm going to go do it because I'm the hero. And she's like, no, man, I am.
And it really is like the 11th hour before he even has anything resembling like an epiphany that maybe she can just do.
I don't even know if I would technically count this as an epiphany because you can correct me if I'm wrong because you've seen this movie way more times than I have.
True.
But I feel like he doesn't really change his mind about her until she becomes useful to him.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Until he gets the little thing that's his weapon, it sits on his wrist, right? And all of a sudden, he's like, Oren gives him a little weapon and says, like, now you're the warrior you were always meant to be. But the only way that his weapon can be powered is if Rainbow Brite is nearby. And then all of a sudden, he's like, oh yeah, we're team members, we're partners.
But he doesn't even get there. Like, he doesn't even get there in the beginning because they're still arguing on how to get into the castle. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Like, he's still not there. Even when Oren is like, be brave, be bold, and don't fight with each other. Because, like, thanks, manager. I appreciate your help. You know? He's just such a point of antagonizing. You know, and so I've also been watching. This is probably too much of a left turn, but we'll see.
That's okay.
I've also been watching Girls 5 Eva, which I have to highly recommend to people to watch it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we cover it on this show. I don't know. It's currently still going strong, and I hope it continues to do so. But they have this moment, and I mean, I guess minor spoilers, but they have this moment where they realize that sometimes their motivation comes from the negativity of their previous manager who would berate them before a show. And they have this really honest moment of like, I don't want to perform that way. I don't want to perform because I'm fighting against negativity. I want to be able to boost myself up and my fellow women up instead of doing all of that. And it's great because like they talk about what they want to get out of this performance and like the ideal scenario, right? And it works. Like they actually feel pumped up to do the show. And I kept thinking about that while I was watching Chris, and I was just like, oh boy, oh man.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Oh boy.
Chris is just
right.
that dude.
Dude,
I think you're
dead weight. Not useful.
You know,
not useful.
Rainbow Brite could have just put that other wristband on her wrist and done the job.
Yes. Or don't forget, the real MVP of this movie is Onyx.
I know.
Like, really, they could have just, like, kicked Chris out of the movie right at the beginning and been like, we don't need you. We need this mechanical horse who is constantly saving the day.
I know.
Like, they really, as much as the movie does let Rainbow Brite be a hero, which I really appreciate, she absolutely would not have survived if not for this mechanical horse, Onyx.
I know.
Like, it just wasn't going to happen.
Well, like, we have this great sort of dichotomy between Starlight and Onyx, where, like, Onyx is essentially a robot, but, like, can kind of think for himself, but mostly takes orders. And Starlight is just, he does him, man. Like, he just comes in and he's like, I think I know what you need me to do, and I'm just going to do it. And, like, nobody needs to tell him anything, and he can, like, concoct plans, which I also super love.
I kind of love that he also has this idea that he's just like the smartest, most beautiful horse in the world. And so
which
whatever
he constantly
he does is
says.
right. I know.
Oh, he is so extra.
Like
and
the
I
moment
love
where
him
he's
for
outside the castle, and then he's like, wait a minute. What is the most marvelous horse in the world doing outside the castle when everyone else is inside? And then he just goes in.
He just goes in. Because somewhere between
I genuinely enjoy him.
I know. Somewhere between Starlight and Onyx is the MVP. I like them as a duo. I feel like they work together in a way that I wish Chris and Rainbow Brite could.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they work together because Onyx is a robot and like Starlight will make suggestions and Onyx will be like, yep, mission accepted. I got you. And like take care of business.
Right,
and then
that's fair.
You know, like it's just so funny because I never expected the horses to be such an actual big plot device, but they super are. And you know what? You have talking horses with personality, man, and they're just going to take care of business. That's just it. I love Onyx. I love Starlight. I do love Sky Dancer, even though he's a very aggressive boy and he just has a lot of energy and he just needs to tromp it out in the clouds.
And I love Stormy. I'm honestly like a little bit sad that Rainbow Brite didn't let Stormy come with her.
I know.
Like at that point in the movie where Stormy was like, take me with you. I can help you. I was like, yes, this is the A-team. Don't take Chris.
I know.
Take her.
I mean, wouldn't you want the power of thunder and lightning and storm?
Right?
And winter and snow? Like, wouldn't you want that?
All of the above. Wouldn't you want someone who wasn't constantly cutting you down and attempting to, quote, put you in your place?
I know. I feel like this is the difference between 1985 and 2022. Because here I am watching this thing where women are just like, why would I do that? I don't have to do that. I don't need that. I mean, like, yeah, okay, there's a motivation in there, but like, I don't need that. I need something else.
Okay, so those are those are the main cast of characters.
Yes.
Orin is also around.
Orin's also there. Cute. Orin's a tiny little fuzzball who's like made of legend, right? Like he's like, you know, the star oh goodness. Oh no, what are they called? The Starmies? Starbrites? Damn.
Who, the fuzzies?
Yeah.
Like the little fuzzy creatures? I actually never caught a name for them.
I feel like they have a name.
I know that they, like, Orin is the name of one of them, and then the little multicolored one that's their good friend is named Twink.
I know.
I never caught the name of the creatures.
They are called sprites.
Oh, sprites. Okay, that's kind of cute, except that I don't know, that just makes me think, like, of classic sprites, you know? Right. Like the fairy-like creatures, and these aren't really that.
They're essentially like, dust bunnies with faces.
Dust bunnies with faces and cute personalities. Like, they just kind of, like, sing along and join in things. Well, I think that there are the more basic sprites, which are only one color. And then there's Twink, who's actually rainbow-colored and has an actual personality. Yes. And then there's Orin, who rules over an entire planet of other fuzzy creatures who, by the way, spend their waking days just polishing the surface of said planet. Which polishing is why I said... Spectra. That's all they do. That's their whole job.
Not great, actually, now that I think about it. Like, I hope they have a union.
I was gonna say, the sprites concern me a little bit.
Sure.
Like, the fact that there are sprites whose entire job it is to polish the surface of a planet is a little tragic. But then you also think about Rainbow Land, and it's like, how did these human children arrive in Rainbow Land, and why are all the sprites of Rainbow Land just there to help them?
I know. I know. Well, the color kids are weird because it's not like, and I don't mean they're weird on the show, but like they look like humans, but like, I'm not so sure they're human. Like, I'm not so sure that Rainbow Brite is human.
I mean, that's fair because, like, her proportions are totally off. And
yes, they are.
The reason I point that out is I don't mean her proportions are off and everyone else in the show has proportions that are off. she looks like a cartoon character, but then when she goes and visits Earth, Brian looks like an actual human. And he's the only one who can see her. So, yeah, to your point, she's probably not even human.
I think
she's an alien.
Yeah, right. This is where it's going to be that fun, like, I know some Rainbow Brite, but not all Rainbow Brite. So the diehard Rainbow Brite fans are probably screaming at me right now. I do know there is like an origin story for Rainbow Brite, and I don't know it very well. But there's like a young girl is like taken to this desolate land, and she has a mission to bring color to like this fictional world by like, you know, it's like a fetch quest. Like she has to find a thing, like a light source. And that's along the way, she like meets a talking horse and Twink and finds the color belt. And like, it's just, there's a lot. Look, friends, there's a lot in there that I'm not familiar with.
There is a lot in there, and just like the setup of the movie makes it seem as though Earth is its own separate planet, Spectra is its own separate planet, and Rainbow Land is its own separate planet. And they're literally like, they take rocket ships to get between them and travel through space. It's not like a
rainbow. Or by
rainbow. Yes, but they have to, like, you know, they have to fly from place to place in some... Which is why I said, is she an alien? Is this another planet?
I feel like my headcanon for this movie in particular, because again, friends, if I saw the origins of Rainbow Brite or if I saw the TV show, I don't remember them as well as this movie. My brain latched onto this movie, and this has been my guiding light for the most part. So what I'm about to say could be completely wrong. But like, I always assumed that Rainbow Land was this like almost like the Land of Oz, and Wizard of Oz is like you're never sure if it's a real place or if it's like part of someone's imagination and they like created it with their thoughts, you know? Like it's funny because I think it's both. I think Rainbow Land is both this like created by the imagination but also exists somewhere in space and time because of because of either its necessity, because Earth needs spring and the universe needs color and like, and imagination and fun and happiness. And like, they talk so often about like Spectra gives light to the universe. And so I'm like, so Rainbow Brite is a galactic warrior is what you're telling me.
Or a deity.
I would take deity.
This is very Mount Olympus. Someone brings the spring.
Sure is.
And I do kind of love how in the midst of this movie, you're right, tonally it's very confusing because it's so bright and fun and exciting and fast-paced, but at the same time, every now and then Rainbow Brite will say something like, everyone will die without the light of life.
Yeah.
And she says it in such an optimistic tone. You're like, hold on, what? Everyone will what? Die?
The tone is weird.
Without the and then you actually see it. You see Earth falling into a deep depression.
I know. Except for this kid's mom. Again, like this kid seems sad, but like his mom is just like napping on the couch. And I had this moment of like, I mean, yeah. Who hasn't had a down moment and basically just slept on the couch?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Exactly. Sometimes you just need to take a conscious break from the day.
I felt particularly bad. I felt particularly bad for the newscaster.
I think the only character we haven't really talked about is the princess.
The princess.
And her army of glitterbots.
Oh my God, those glitterbots.
The villain of the show. Although I, in my heart, think that Chris is the real villain of this movie. The princess is the main antagonist. The main antagonist. One of the two antagonists in this movie.
Yeah. So as I was watching this, and I did watch this as a younger sister, I think. I think I watched this from the perspective of a you know, a small female child. And, you know, obviously the Chris stuff was like the, you know, don't talk to her that way. But then all the princess stuff felt like your big teenage sister who only wants to do what she wants to do and doesn't want to include you in anything, but she's also destroying the universe, so you have to stop her somehow. Like this felt like the weird weight that I think younger kids put on themselves in these situations.
So interesting. Well, for the audience, I am a middle child. So I have both an older and a younger sibling. And younger siblings out there, please don't at me, but I think this princess had real younger sibling energy.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It just felt very much, or only child energy. And please, only children out there, don't at me either. But it was, it was that very sort of it didn't even feel like a sibling necessarily, but it felt like teenager. Like she read as teenager to me, even though she doesn't look like a teenager at all. At all. And maybe this is why I have no idea how old people are, because
she's like, no, I don't. I think that the movie did that. Like Rainbow Brite and Chris, Brian, those are clearly children.
Yeah.
Right. But the princess seems like older, not as old as Oren. Like Oren is the actual only adult,
a quintessential old, but not only adult, like an old man, like the quintessential. He walks with a cane and he's got a very gravelly voice. Like he is an old man. And there's him, and there's I guess that lieutenant or second in command that the princess has, who is very obviously an adult, but also placating the princess. It had this very Veruca Salt vibe where it's but I want it. I don't care how, and I want it now,
Exactly. Like anything in this universe that I desire shall be mine.
Yes. And that includes a planet-sized diamond.
Yes.
Which I don't think your ship could still haul that, my dude.
Okay. So not only that, but can we also discuss her little baby diamond that she would just kind of talk to and bring around and treat as a pet?
I know.
And then she threw it into the fire at the end of the movie.
I was did.
Oh, villain energy.
Villain energy turned up to 11.
She threw it into the fire in order to fuel her rocket so that she could go and get a bigger diamond. Oh, terrible. Truly a bad guy.
Yeah. No, the worst.
And you're right. Teen energy.
So much, over the top teen energy. I just felt, it felt very no one can say no to me because I am just full of chaos teen energy. And I just won't accept it. And I'm a princess, so you have to do what I say.
Exactly. She lives alone in her castle with her giant army of glitter bots. It's literally just her, the glitter bots, and the captain of the guard, and her advisor, and that's it.
I have so many questions. So Oren is the king of Spectra, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. At first, I think my kid brain thought that the castle they were in was Oren's, because it was you take him prisoner, right, and you bring him to your castle, but they don't establish that. They just kind of...
No.
They don't establish that at all. You just kind of have to piece it together.
Honestly, it's really confusing at the beginning of the movie. I think that I had to go back to my notes and correct them, because at first, I thought that he was her advisor.
Yeah, you get that impression. You get this impression of she's asking him... Well, not really. She's demanding this thing. But there's this weird ownership that happens. And I think in my child brain, it translated to this was his castle and she was crashing his party. And then I was but that doesn't make sense, because then the glitter bots would respond to him and the giant goo monsters would respond to him. What did you think about her liquid henchmen? Her
liquid henchmen. I liked quite a few of the monsters in this movie.
Right.
I liked the liquid henchmen. I also liked those kind of funny lizard people who were just kind of living in the cavern of water underneath the castle.
I know. I love them. Look, they're just trying to live their lizard life.
What if you didn't bother the lizard people?
What if you just didn't bother the lizard people? I mean, like, to be fair, if I had like a pit of lizards under my castle and I was the teen that the princess is, does she even have a name? Hang on, she has a name. She has.
They just refer to her as the princess, kind of.
The dark princess. Okay. All right, fine.
The dark
princess. But like, you know, if I had this pit of quote unquote monsters, you know, it's the same thing of like if I had a pit of alligators. Yeah, I would throw the people I don't like at the alligators because an alligator going to do what an alligator going to do and take care of my people I don't like problem. I find their planet so fascinating. Like, I love the jail, oddly. Sergeant, what was his name? It was like a prison on the prison planet that I guess, you know, was like in her sphere. Oh my God, it was so good.
A prison planet who, again, Onyx totally busts them out of.
I know.
Totally busts them out of.
I love that he tries to go for the bars first, realizes that's a bad plan, and just reverses. I also love that he bucks them off to be like, I have a job to do, get off. And
this movie is so wildly chaotic.
It is.
Because it's almost like there's so many mini missions they have to accomplish before they can finally get to the end of this movie. Even though there is one central problem, which is that the princess wants to steal an entire planet. And she's building a giant net so that she can carry the planet away. And the net is blocking the light, which is why spring can't come. Fine. It should be very simple. But then for some reason, there's a prison planet, there's a dungeon, there's like 5 kinds of monsters. Rainbow Brite has to go back to Rainbow Lands like 3 times because she runs out of magic and she needs more star sprinkles. The queen has a jewel, by the way, which is how her magic is powered. So they have to destroy her jewel, but that doesn't stop her rocket. It's a lot. This movie is a lot.
This movie is a lot. I think this is one of the ways they prevent characters from getting too OP. Although the Dark Princess is pretty OP. Like she's got that jewel and like that's it. Like she can do anything she wants. I do like that Rainbow Brite has to use crafts to cast her spell. You know, like she needs to re-up on her fuel. She can't just constantly pull it out. I forgot how many places we go, right? Like, because it's still kind of a fetch quest, sort of. Yeah. Like your goal is to prevent the planet from, getting stolen, I guess. Weird, but watch the movie. You love it, you hate it. There's only one song in it, and it happens first. Yes. It happens first thing.
Which thankfully there's only one song in it. I'm not sure I would have made it through the movie had there been 4 more songs just like that.
Fair. Fair.
But there's just the one. You get it out of the way, and then you meet Starlight and Onyx, and the movie picks up.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you enjoy it? I mean, I know you're not going to watch it again, which is totally fair.
I liked it. I think that I had to keep in mind that this was a movie made for children in 1985, right? And if this exact same movie were made now, it would have been very, very different, right? Like we've talked about Chris and Rainbow Brite, and their relationship absolutely would not have been that way, I think, nowadays. Or maybe it would have been at first, but it would have shifted pretty quickly. So like season 1, episode 1, Sokka. That doesn't last for very long because you don't want someone like that on your team.
Yep. You sure don't.
And one thing I did appreciate about this movie, and you know what, maybe this will just be my one more thing, is that Rainbow Brite is constantly sassing him back. Like there's this one moment where they're running away from a monster. I can't even remember which monster it is. And Chris tries to make fun of her for not being able to run as quickly as he can. He's taller. right?
He's taller.
And she literally snaps back, some of us aren't used to running away.
Yep. That is one of my favorite lines that she has.
So I think that if this movie were made now, they would have dialed up the sass with her, dialed down the sexism coming from Chris. That would have felt a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Starlight and Onyx are beautiful. They can say exactly as they are.
Yes.
And I didn't need Murky and Lurky. And I'm sorry if anyone listening is a Rainbow Brite fan and Murky and Lurky are a major part of the TV show and that's why they're there and you love them. But I did not need them. I did not need them.
It's just weird, right? It's something about that they don't work when they're not in their 23-minute episode antagonist role, right?
It's also the movie will constantly just kind of bop back to them randomly, like, we're Murky and Lurky right now. And they're just, 3 feet behind everyone else because that's all they do for the whole movie. They try to chase people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think
unsuccessfully.
And I think that's what bothered me also. Like it didn't have, they felt like filler, which to be fair, the movie is not terribly long. And maybe that's why they're there. Maybe they are there to fill it out. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't think they needed to be there. And I don't know if the movie could have used them in a better way. I mean, I love me sort of, a villain who is just there to like play the odds and con man and agree with everybody because they just want to survive. And
well, I also think that the movie could have used them more. Mm-hmm. It's just that, like, the movie didn't need another set of villains, right? Because Murky and Lurky are clearly villains. Murky is a scientist, and at the beginning of the movie, he builds a machine because he wants to rule over Rainbow Land and make it gloomy. That's his whole thing. And I was like, if they actually just let him be a scientist and let his machines work, then he could have been an interesting kind of villain character. But they don't do that because every time Murky makes something, then Lurky destroys it. And then they continue chasing the main cast.
Exactly. It's just, I think they could have been used better, but I don't necessarily know what that is to allow them to be used better. Yeah, I don't think they needed to be there. But again, we needed to fill out some time. And I'm sure, the callback to the TV series, I'm sure there are people out there who are very happy to see them, and that's great.
Exactly.
And that wasn't me.
More Onyx, more Starlight.
Yeah. There was a side note. There was a meme going around that was a picture of Rainbow Brite and Oren on the rainbow bridge thing that she can create that says the 80s, when you can have a cartoon that heavily features rainbows without people thinking the main character is gay. And they're not wrong. It was
a different time.
I do think if this was made today, much like the She-Ra reboot, I feel like we could have incorporated some LGBT into this. Like, I think that would have been really interesting to see. And if they reboot it, who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe we can have somebody actually look at this of like, hey, there is all this color. It's here. It's doing its thing. I also know I think there are comics of this show.
Wow. Interesting.
It's it's one of those things where like you're either a fan of it or you're not, I think. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I love this movie. This movie is so much fun. It's just...
No, I get it. I'm not a fan. I just think it could have been tightened up a little bit.
Totally fair. Totally fair. Look, I have some problems with the She-Ra reboot myself, but the LGBT Q representation is not one of them. So I don't know. Maybe they can bring it back. Maybe they can bring it back and do something with it. Yes, if that's your one more thing. Oh God, do I have a one more thing? Oh, my one more thing is the couple in the prison.
I love them. They gave me real, the older couple in The Princess Bride.
Yes.
Have fun storming the castle.
Yes.
That's very much that vibe.
Yes, that's exactly who I think of when I think of them, for sure. I love the, like, wow, I can remember when we were trying to escape. I can't remember that far back. It's just...
And they're still trapped there.
And they
actually never escape the prison planet.
Mm-mm.
This poor couple.
They never do. But I mean, I feel like they're happy in their own way there.
At least they have each other.
They have each other, and that's really all that matters. But yes, next week we will be back to Kipo. But I think, like, again, like, I just really enjoy that movies like this happened so that we could have something like Kipo. And it's like,
true.
Kipo doesn't feel like Rainbow Brite, but like it feels like this was a cornerstone of where we were trying to go, a little bit. And I appreciate it.
Okay, yay. Let's go ahead and end there.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We would love to hear from you. Please check us out at Binge O'Clock Pod on Twitter and Facebook, where you can answer the question, how would you escape from a pack of glitter bots? You can also email us at bingeoclockpod@gmail.com. And don't forget, we have a Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/BockPod.
That's right. And tell your friends, tell your family, tell your loved ones, tell the live lobsters in your life about Binge O'Clock, and we will see you next time.